Welcome to the Lighthouse. I'm delighted to have this 30 minutes of resiliency meditative time to tune in with you, whether you're here live now or tuning in later for the replay. For those of us here in the Madison area and on the Isthmus, it's about as summer as it's gonna get, right? The air is so thick and humid. It feels like a weighted blanket. It's almost like you could cut the air with a butter knife, and there's a beauty to that, and there's it invites us to slow down in a way that I feel is very useful in terms of tuning into the contemplative side of things. As human beings, the human spirit is never in a state of non-existence. There is always some epic theater of activity going on in the brain, in the organ function, in the endocrine system, and on and on and on. It is an epic theater of busyness. So, as practitioners, as we witness this endless play, it is really useful for us to make sure you're on mute for those of you who are just showing up now. As practitioners, it's really useful for us to take time to slow down and to surrender to the flow so that we can have a chance to decipher the hidden depths of the experiences that are happening in our lives. And there's such a hidden depth in what's going on in this tsunami of change that we're transfiguring through as a species right now, at absolutely every level. So, given that it's high summer, I take my dog on a swim almost every day right now at the lake. And I was witnessing her yesterday in her swim and the way that she completely let go of her body once she got to a certain depth in the water. And she's a dachshund, so it doesn't take much for her to get to the depths. It takes more for us as human beings to decipher the hidden depths, but when she gets to a certain level of submergence in the lake, her little body just lets go and she kind of swizzles around in the water, and it's just this wonderful thing to witness. And as I was watching her yesterday, I was thinking about how much of a learning moment that was for me as a human being to witness, and what a reflection that was for me as a student of movement. I consider myself a lifelong student of movement, and certainly I've learned a good number of things from human beings. But I find that some of the most profound and sustaining transmissions that I have learned about how to occupy my own human nature is through witnessing the other beings of nature and witnessing nature at large, and witnessing how the other elements of nature seem to be free of the burden that we tend to carry as human beings. If you were in yesterday's class, which was a really juicy session in my views, I was really emphasizing the importance of getting very clear around the law of cause and effect, and recognizing that as soon as we inhabit a physical body, which we're all in, as soon as we inhabit a physical body, the law of cause and effect is inevitable. And so every word we speak it matters, and it's leaving its mark, it's making its mark. Every thought, every action matters and is making its mark. And so when we can relax and participate in conscious choice, then we realize that we can navigate, we can be the creators of our own life and decide if we're going to make the moment a boost or let it be a burden. So one of the ways that I have found as a human being in a body, one of the ways that I've found that is super useful for me to get unhooked from the epic theater of busyness in the mind and the epic theater of busyness that is the professional agenda, is to surrender to the flow. So we're going to do some very elemental, organic, Mother Nature flow forms for today, okay? So without further ado, get really comfortable. We will be seated for today's meditations. So sit up nice and tall, and recognize that when you're working within the spectrum of flow forms, it is so healing for the coherence of our biofield. It's profoundly healing for our nervous systems, which need it very, 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 very much for all manner of reasons. And it's very, very healing for our perceptions and for the experience that we're having in our physical body. If our physical bodies are numb or rigid, we will not be able to recognize love, and we will not be able to endeavor into our own healing. It's just a fact. So give yourself permission to most remarkably surrender into the flow in a way that perhaps feels wildly unfamiliar. Feel the encouragement, feel yourself receiving permission from the infinite as you are flowing in these forms here in a moment, to develop a deeper relationship with your own sense of wildness. It is altogether too common for us as human beings to become associated with and identified with our personhood and the worldly aspects of it. As a mover and as a shaker, which you are all the time, but particularly right now as we're here together in this way, as a mover and a shaker, you are also, a member of the wild things. So let the personhood dissolve and let yourself move into this coherent field of fluid resonance. Invite as many diversified, dexterous, nuanced, filamental movements as you can, not just into the shell of your outer body, but then into your fascia, deeper yet then into your organs, and then into the deepest streams and rivulets of flow, into the deepest cerebrospinal fluid in the axis that allows you to be here as the unique version of life expressed as you. And this is a revolutionary time of transformation. We are unveiling impartial ways of loving as revolutionaries. And if you ask me, and this is the last thing I'll say before we do the practice, if you ask me, right now in history, the most effective way for us to be revolutionary is to show up as who we came here to be, and to be that full power, full power. And I believe very strongly that in order to do that and be that, we have to get unhooked regularly from the tetherings. You hear me talk about the tetherings and the moorings all the time. We have to get unhooked. So let that happen for yourself. Sitting up nice and straight. I'm going to turn up our music. So bring your hands, please, to begin. Bring your hands to the top of the knees and kind of create claws, like a clawfoot bathtub. Have the tips of the fingers on the inside of the knees, which are facing up, and then have the palms of the hands popped up. So that's giving you a lot of access to uplift out of the ball, to uplift the ball of the belly out of the big shell of the pelvic bone. You want to let the shell of the pelvic bone respond to the pull of gravity, and you want to let the fluid resonance of the spinal column to flow. So let's begin by circulating. Again, we're starting in the shell of the body, and then we're moving into the fascia, through the muscular system, through all of the matrix of connective tissues. Don't worry about which direction you might be circling. Surrendering to the flow. My dog is applauding you. Surrendering to the flow. Again, feel the encouragement, feel the permission from the infinite to develop and to deepen your relationship with your own unique sense of the wild. Navigating deep, deciphering, understanding what it is that is happening to you in the hidden depths. So this circulation, it's like the turnstiles, being willing to change versus crystallizing or calcifying in your comfort zones, being willing to change. Let the Dharma do you, as if your hair is on fire. Show up full power into the present moment awareness. If thoughts of the past are arising, bring a great wave of forgiving energy to the way in which you're watching those thoughts. Be present in the present moment, gratefully. Now go the other way. Super slow. Witness the speed at which you're moving right now. And feel if you can slow it down. For myself, the answer is always yes. Slowing it down quite a bit. Surrendering to the flow, getting unhooked from the mind, calling off the search, because when we move in this way, we realize that what it is that we have been searching for is already found. In this rapid intercommunication of infinite energy, of eternity in the tissues of your humanity. Again, shell of the body into the fascia of the body, into the muscular system, into all the fluid system, and into the hidden depths. Get into the hidden depths. Find the hidden waltz. And have the courage to bring all of your joy to this simple way of unwinding and coming home into the truth of who you are. When we move like this together, and although we're in various places in this moment, we are still together. And when we move this way together, we're moving the tectonic plates of our mind, we're moving the way in which energy, we're shifting the way in which energy is moving through our humanness. We are then thereby stewarding a visceral collective compassion, a visceral collective compassion. Kindness and compassion, these are the new currency. Let your embodiment, the unconditional commitment that you have to your embodiment, let it be one of your legacy projects that you don't ever abandon, no matter what. Okay, find stillness. In my case, adjust the cushion. Maybe you need to do that too. Okay, so we're gonna go again in one direction and then in the other direction. However, and you're gonna find that it feels significantly different just because we're lifting the hands up off of the structure of the body. It's going to feel quite a bit more nebulous, and thereby it may feel a little bit more challenging, but the challenge is always good, right? Because that's where the growth is. And we're, the fact that you showed up for this gathering, the fact that you ever show up for any of these IP gatherings, means that you have a mind and a heart tending towards growth. This is beautiful. Never let that change. So when you find yourself feeling uncomfortable in the experience of whatever kind of meditation we're checking out in that moment, yield to it. Okay, so we're going to go to whichever direction you weren't going just a moment ago, go the other direction. And you heard me a few moments ago speak about diversified movements, encouraging the diversified movements. Yes, we're encouraging it in the skin, in the fascia, in all the systems of the body. But right now, imagine the way the brilliant and elegant life forms of the bioluminescent jellyfish in our oceans, the way that they move when they are in a coherent state of oneness with the water. There's no reason that we too can't access that kind of octopus territory in our own embodiment, circling, diversifying through the tentacles of the fingers. How are you breathing? Is it rigid? Is it shaky? Is it emotional? Remember, a nama-rigid body cannot identify love. Bring it in. It's never about what it looks like. We are not ballerinas on stage here. Have the eyes closed down and have your gaze, both eyes are directed on the screen behind the closed eyes. Both eyes are directed to the brow center, okay? And this is going to help work with the optic nerve and help to decalcify the pineal and pituitary glands. This is so important, particularly for those of us in this part of the world, here at summer's end, okay? Decalcifying the glands in the brain. Every time you complete a circulation, feel your body sitting up taller. Listen to the sound of your breathing and tune in to the hidden depth of the experience, the sonic experience of your blood song. Can you hear your blood song? Go the other way. Try spreading the toes on both of your feet. That's going to connect and open up the freedom and flow, the roadways for freedom and flow between the roots of the toes and feet, through the trunks of the legs, and up into the branches of the upper body. Listening, listening, listening. Good, now relax the hands on top of the knees and just witness for a moment how you're feeling. Is the mind active? Is the mind quiet? Maybe there's a split second of getting a glimpse of no mind. of honey that is when there's no mind. Okay, so we're going to keep the hands, so we're really just staying in the simplicity and the elegance and the effectiveness of these coiling forms, okay? This is really working with your life nerve. This is really working with your kundalini energy. So you're going to pop the hands back into this claw form. And then you're going to make a figure 8. And the point of origin of the movement is your heart center, okay? So find that, maybe even simply by touching it, find that center of the wheel of your body. And you're going to swirl and swirl to the other side. Listening in at the level of the crossroad. Where is the crossroad in the form? Right there in your heart center. Separating the chaff from the real grain of nourishment. That's what happens when we can surrender all of the rigidity. Now see if you can, unlike what we were doing at the beginning, see if you can speed it up without losing the articulation of the movement. Remember, when it comes to dynamic meditation and when it comes to natural human movement, this language, this alphabet of gestures, it already lives inside of you. It was there before you were you. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. We just have to get out of our own way and tune in. Okay? A couple more. Good, and then find your center, find stillness. So one last practice for today. This is Sanmukhi Mudra. This is a beautiful, ancient practice that merges the seated form of this meditative lotus posture, or maybe you're in a sukhasana, either of which we're just in a comfortable seated, hopefully cross-legged position, but in fact it's not even a requirement that you be in a cross-legged position, just simply seated, okay? And so it's a cross-fertilization of the seated posture and the medicine that delivers to us, and then the inclusion of the sound meditation that we'll do here in a moment, as it is in conversation with the mudra, which I'm about ready to demonstrate for you. So I'm going to bring my pinky finger. Watch for a second. I'm going to articulate all the plugins, okay? Your face and your head and all of the energy moving through your face and your head become the docking station, the motherboard. And you are creating a shift in the energy and the electricity and the colorful intensity and integrity of the way life force is moving through you. Remember, you are, as a practitioner, a master in the art of your own living, a master in the art of your own living. And every one of these meditative endeavors help us to chip away at the stone, to chip away at our own rigidity, to surrender to the flow, and to unveil the beautiful sculpture that is the essential nature, the true self, that is in rapport with that which is timeless and boundless and desireless and nameless and infinitely full of grace. So watch, I'm going to put the pinky below the bottom lip, ring finger above the top lip, middle finger to the bridge of the nose, index finger to the innermost corner of the eye, and then the thumb is going to seal the ear off, which is going to create that felt sense and that sonic experience of being underwater. And then I'm going to sound the Brahmari vibration, and I'm moving my tongue to create the diversification of sound waves. So this is what it's going to sound like. So for myself, when I do this practice, I always feel like I've awakened the inner didgeridoo of my vocal cords in relationship with my spinal column, and the magic and the power, the hidden depths in the spinal column. Use your vocal cords, use your tongue. The tip of your tongue in relationship to the sound that's emerging from your body is absolutely, undeniably one of the most powerful tools that you have as you become a master of your own destiny path, as you become a master in the art of your own living, as you honor in recognition that every word, every sound that you make matters, right? It's leaving its mark, which is creating a magnetism that's going to bring more of its like into your field and into your life. So we're going to take 9 waves of this sound. I recognize if you need to leave the gathering before we close, that's certainly fine. If you can hang on and stay until the end, that's beautiful too. So without further ado, let's take 9 rounds of, and I'm going to turn our music all the way down so that you can hear the inner didgeridoo of your own vocals. So pinky finger below the bottom lip, ring finger above the top lip, middle finger to the bridge of the nose, index finger to the innermost corner of the eye, and thumb sealing off the ear. Inhale, and you're doing this on your own, at your own pace. Feel the fluid resonance, the timeless dignity that is resonating in the center of every cell, in the deep caves of your heart, in the lighthouse of your mind, in the entities of your organs. And feel how profoundly a few moments of surrendering to the flow, how profoundly it brings us into the intense, colorful revelation of just this moment, of present moment awareness. Completely harmonized nervous system. And it's from a place of a harmonized nervous system that we can look back on the depths of our experiences with forgiveness, that we can look forward into the not yet experienced with compassion and curiosity and creativity, and we can be here now in a way that is fully present and defined by gratefulness. Gratefulness, it is the ultimate response. And I'm grateful for your presence here. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking time to be part of this work in our beautiful world. Take very good care of yourself. I look so forward to seeing you again soon. Sat Nam. Namaste.